Vance Lewis, I'm the CEO for Tortola Pier Limited.
Limited.
Okay, Tortola Pier Limited manages the civil bureau of the Tortola Pier. I almost want to tell you 40 years ago I was perhaps running around in Pampers, but I wasn't. I was wearing another hat then with cable and wireless, and cruise was as far from my mind as possible.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, my challenge then was to how to get the cruise lines on the local telecommunications networks so that we can actually make more money for my company. What a difference 40 years makes.
What a difference, yes. and speaking of Seatrade, right, as you mentioned, trying to communicate with those cruise liners, what was your first experience then with Seatrade?
Well, I joined the ministry back in 2014, and I came to Seatrade the very first time, Seatrade Global. And it was a huge learning experience in terms of the magnitude, in terms of the energy, and also in terms of the expectancy. And one of the first things I learned in this industry is that it's all about relationship building. You have to get to know your partners and they have to get to know you. And then you'll have a great information flow. And soon after, a couple of years after I came through for the very first time in my capacity, I think it was a consultant then.
Okay.
We in the British Virgin Islands experienced two major Category 5 hurricanes in 2017. The good thing is that I'd already had a couple of years of experience and the relationship building with some of the executives. So I knew quite a few people from the Disney Cruise Lines and from Norwegian Cruise Lines. And then following the hurricanes and the devastation that it wrought upon us, we appealed to FCCA. And at that time, we entered a special relationship with them, and they sent the ops committee down, and then they charged Disney with helping us with re-establishing standards in the destination, product standards in the destination. For my part, I became the task force leader in the British Virgin Islands, and we had a multifunctional task force where we had to get the place cleaned up, we had to get some of the products in the destination safer, especially as we, one of our partners is a family-oriented cruise in the cruise business.
Okay.
And we then chose them to help us to redefine minimum levels, and then FCCA helped us significantly. We poured the assets in, we poured the effort in,
okay.
And they started to come back almost 1 year later. And that was pretty much October 2018. And you know, the rest I think is history. You may want to ask me a bit more about history, but...
No. Again, that's good information. I don't think that most persons may have known of some of the events, but not necessarily how they may have connected. And it's good to see how you played a role in those connections. One of the things that you've mentioned that we've been hearing over time is that communication and building of relationships that Seatrade allows. And you know, we're here, Seatrade 2025, and you know, there are different elements to Seatrade. You know, there's this portion where, you know, you go to different booths. There are conference, there is the different seminars, the panels. As you have been coming over the years, what is that one aspect of Seatrade that you say that you look forward to, whether it's participating or paying attention to over the years? What stands out? What is, yes, I'm Vance and I'm here at Seatrade, and you will definitely find me at this particular portion that Seatrade yields?
Essentially, the one standard or constant has been the state of the industry.
Right.
Usually it's in Tuesday mornings about 11 o'clock where you get a feel from a cruise executive point of view as to what is the strategic direction of the industry. What should you be looking for 5, 10, 15 years down the road? How should you prepare for it? because the industry experts do it. And the other thing that I can tell you is that I look forward to meeting friends. Like I've cultivated a lot of relationships once I learned about relationship building, customer relationship building. And I look forward to meeting these friends again. And when we meet, we talk quite often. I mean, I don't wait until once a year to speak to them.
Right.
Of course, because in a lot of cases, I think in some cases, especially before, during, and after COVID, we had to have a very intense kind of relationship with the cruise lines, because it was all about who could get the effects of the pandemic behind us first,
Right.
so that once your countries are open, you can begin to achieve some sort of normalcy again. And so therefore, we were speaking to cruise liners every fortnight, different ones, just to understand what are the trends, what's happening, what are people doing, what are the cruise lines doing to keep their passengers safe, and to make sure that, especially during the pandemic, that we keep all people safe, because in the British Virgin Islands, we're a territory of 30,000 people, and a very small population like that, you can do quite a lot of damage if a bad disease comes through. So we took quite a lot of learning about things that are being done, and we imparted that onto the general public, sufficiently so that in a relatively short period of time, I think it was 6-7 months, we started opening up gradually and re-establishing the business. And you can see how much it's grown. I mean, it's grown to the point where in 2024, we had an increase in cruise passengers over 2023. And that was, I think more than 6%. And certainly we had over 760,000 cruise passengers and over 1 million passengers or visitors in total. And 2025 is forecast to be even better than 2024. So it speaks a lot to the resilience of the people in the British Virgin Islands. It speaks a lot to the warmth of the population there. And it speaks a lot to the beauty, but natural beauty alone doesn't sell itself. It does help. Our job is to make sure that we present it in the right way. We make sure we have a good guest experience. And at the Pier Park, we look very, very hard at what can we do differently to add value. What can we do differently to make sure the cruise experience goes north? And what can we do to make sure that our tenants survive, and by virtue of that, all the stakeholders in the industry survive.
And as you speak on that, speaking with the minister responsible for the ports and so on, Honorable Kai Reimer, I asked, well, what is the plan now? He did mention that, we're looking at sustainability now. Yes, we're doing well with the numbers, but we want to, how do we maintain this? How do we remain consistent? That we can say that we kind of have the formula in essence, and we can look to how we would now walk around the things that would complement, having sustainability and maintaining the relationships that we have now fostered. What's your take as we wrap this portion up in that regard?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that goes into it. So let's see whether we can unpack them. Training. Right. That's going to be one of our keys to success. We've got to keep our people trained. And if you train people and help them to understand what they need to do to engage the visitors, then it's going to present a good value proposition for them. So that's one thing, and that's something we have tried. Last year we brought in some training for vendors, and we're looking to do something very similar this year with a different twist. We also look at where the cruise industry itself is going, in the state of the industry this morning. You heard of a lot of newer ships, larger ships, and greener ships that are coming. And in the British Virgin Islands, we are very, very keen to reduce our carbon footprint. And in the Pier Park, we're no less so. As a matter of fact, we're Green Globe members in the Pier Park, which may sound trivial, but it is not.
Okay.
And it speaks to the plans that we have in terms of ensuring that we can have a sustainable facility. We're trying to make sure that we employ all forms of alternative energy, all with a view of being able to live cleaner, greener, reduce footprint, but making sure that our stakeholders thrive going forward.
All right. And I know that's very important. Thank you for that. As you know, I know the minister had some meetings with various entities with regard to some of the, the fumes or the cloud that we would see from time to time coming into our ports. So I know that that's very important. That's a concern that we've had, and I look forward to hearing how those things progress, how those meetings progress in terms of those meetings that were had.
So that's one of the things we've promised our stakeholders at home and the public at home, that we would raise at the Seatrade Global Conference, and we have raised it. We have been assured that the fuels being used by the various cruise liners are compliant. I think they're compliant to ISO 9000. We have been assured that they use scrubbers when they're in the harbor, but we're looking forward for them to do more, just to make sure that we keep our population safe. We are looking to make sure that, the old saying, perception is reality, that we clear away any perception that anything can be unsafe, just so that we can regard the cruise industry as being a safe industry, and one that we can weave into society as it continues to grow and touch the number of stakeholders, provide a number of jobs. It's this industry itself is almost, if not more than 9% of our GDP on its own.
Okay.
And so therefore we are going to have to thrive. We're going to have to grow that, but grow it in a sustainable fashion.
And with education, obviously.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, Mr. Lewis, I want to thank you for taking the time out. I know you've been very busy and everybody's been trying to pull you and call you along, but you took the time to, clear the air for us and keep us informed about Seatrade 2025. All right.
Gio, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak at Seatrade 2025 and let the people of the British Virgin Islands, and indeed all over the world, know that the BVI, we aim to be #1 in cruise. Thank you.
And we are here. You're welcome.